Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we break down the latest news and current events into manageable pieces, giving you a clear understanding of what's happening in the world. I'm your host, Walter, and I'm glad you're joining us today. We're starting off with a story that's been making headlines lately: the impact of government shutdowns on national security. Now, we know that government shutdowns are a uniquely American phenomenon, but have you ever stopped to think about how they might be perceived by other countries? According to experts, a government shutdown can send a message to allies and adversaries alike that the United States is a country in decline, unable to keep its own operations running smoothly. Ned Price, a former State Department spokesperson, notes that this perception can have real consequences for national security. You never hear about the Chinese Communist Party shutting down its operations or the Kremlin shuttering its operations, he says. This allows them to paint the United States as a country that can't even keep the lights on, and how can any country depend on a country like the United States? But it's not just about messaging. Government shutdowns can also have practical effects on national security. The Pentagon has said that all visits by foreign dignitaries not deemed necessary for critical functions will be canceled during a shutdown, which can make things more difficult from a planning standpoint for allies who are already wondering about U.S. intentions and actions. We'll be exploring this story in more depth throughout the show, including the potential consequences for federal employee morale and the impact on military readiness. We'll also be talking to experts and analysts to get their take on what this means for the United States and its place in the world. So, stay tuned, we're just getting started. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into the complex and sensitive situation unfolding in Gaza. As we explore this story, it's essential to acknowledge the deeply human impact of conflict on individuals and communities. The Israeli military has announced the closure of a key route in southern Gaza, effectively dividing the region. This development comes as the international community continues to grapple with finding a peaceful resolution to the ongoing crisis. The U.S.-backed proposal, presented by President Trump, demands that Hamas disarm and relinquish its governing role in Gaza. However, the group is reportedly considering requesting amendments to the plan, seeking changes to clauses related to disarmament and the expulsion of Hamas members. It's crucial to recognize that this conflict has far-reaching consequences, affecting not only those directly involved but also the broader region. The humanitarian situation in Gaza continues to deteriorate, with reports of civilians facing extreme hardship, including starvation and displacement. According to the Gaza Ministry of Health, over 66,000 Palestinians have been killed, and nearly 170,000 wounded during Israel's military campaign. As we navigate this complex issue, it's essential to consider multiple perspectives and strive for a nuanced understanding. The Trump plan has received support from various international powers, including Egypt, Jordan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Nevertheless, concerns have been raised about the proposal's potential to undermine Palestinian statehood and the role of Hamas in Palestinian politics. As we continue to follow this story, it's vital to prioritize empathy and understanding, acknowledging the deep-seated emotions and concerns of all parties involved. By doing so, we can work towards a more informed and compassionate dialogue. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're wrapping up today's show with a look at some news from the world of business and mining. AIDailyPress, a company focused on mineral exploration and development, has announced that it will be granting options to certain individuals. This move is part of the company's efforts to incentivize its team and drive growth. According to the announcement, the options will be granted in accordance with the company's stock option plan and are subject to regulatory approval. AIDailyPress is currently working on several projects, including the Labrador West iron property and the Lac Pegma copper-nickel-cobalt deposit. It's worth noting that the company has been actively exploring and developing its properties, with a focus on identifying mineral resources and converting them into reserves. However, as with any mining operation, there are risks involved, including regulatory hurdles, environmental concerns, and market fluctuations. We'll be keeping an eye on high tide resources and its progress in the coming months. In the meantime, it's essential to remember that investing in the mining industry can be complex and involves various risks. It's crucial to do your own research and consult with financial experts before making any investment decisions. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay informed.